Good, it's really good to be here today, and I had the privilege of being in Catalonia for the independence referendum. I was an international visitor, an observer, and my colleagues and I, we arrived in Barcelona on the 27th of September, so it gave myself and my colleagues some time to travel around Catalonia and see what was happening in the other cities and the towns and the villages, because I had never been to Catalonia before. This was my first time in Barcelona, so I had no preconceived ideas of what it was going to be like or what the people were going to be like, and I must admit that they were very friendly, they were very welcoming, and I think I left a wee bit of my heart in Catalonia when we actually left. So we wanted to see if in Barcelona there was support out with the city, and there was. It clearly wasn't just Barcelona. We spoke to people in cafes and shops and at street stalls, and we witnessed a strong yes vote. However, what was clear was that the no side wasn't actually campaigning. All they were doing was pulling down posters and banners which was advertising the planned referendum. On the Saturday before the referendum, we visited various polling stations on the Saturday before, and we found teachers and parents and students at the schools that were going to be used as polling stations, and they were there to protect the schools because there had been word that the police was maybe going to turn up and close them all, and they wouldn't be able to be used the following day for polling stations. Now, rather than them being glum, they all turned it into a great festa, and they were all having food together, and the children were playing games and sports. So they obviously had been put in alert, and while we were there, it all went well. So we went to bed early that night because we had an early start the following day, 5:45 a.m. We wanted to be there because again we had heard that the police might be turning up at 6 o'clock in the morning to close down the polling stations, and we wanted to be there to make sure that didn't happen. So when we got there was already hundreds of people standing outside, and when we got inside we met a lot of people who had been there overnight, staying in the polling stations to protect the polling stations from being closed by the police. Some of them students that weren't of age, they couldn't even vote themselves. Now, the events of the 1st of October were clearly documented. We had police violence, we had proxy servers shut down, and we had ballot boxes confiscated. I was lucky. The 3 polling stations that I manned saw no violence, but believe me, there was always the threat of it, and there was tension in the air, and that was from the people inside and the people who were outside. My colleagues were not so lucky. They visited a 4th polling station, and just at that point, the Policia Nacional turned up. They were smashing the windows of the doors to gain access. They were assaulting voters, young and old, and they confiscated the 12 ballot boxes, so it meant that that polling station had to be closed completely. Now, this kind of behaviour was going on all over Catalonia. There were many reports afterwards, and the images across social media. Let me be clear, we were there and we saw the violence. It was not fake news, and it was unnecessary violence and not proportional, as the Spanish government would like you to believe. There was 894 voters injured on the day, and there was 300,000 votes stolen. The people that I engaged with on the day were defending the right to vote. Their own safety was secondary to protecting the ballot boxes and the votes. I actually witnessed voters when they come into the polling station, they were crying with emotion as they put their vote into the boxes. It was absolutely amazing. Many of them wanted their photographs taken as well. So it was fantastic, and it just proves, really friends, that that's why it's so important to have international observers and visitors at a thing like this to bear true witness to the events of that day. 2.5 million voters, 90% backed independence. I witnessed the count as well. We got locked in with the ballot boxes. One good thing that I thought we could maybe look at in this country is that the ballot boxes didn't go anywhere. They stayed where they were. The doors were locked and they got counted on site. Now Spain, in refusing to acknowledge the result, is an attack on democracy. Spain may deem that the referendum was illegal, but in the eyes of the Catalan government, the democratically elected representatives, they had a legitimate mandate to hold an independence referendum. The legitimate government of Catalonia elected to serve the will of the Catalan people. Today I defend the right of the people of Catalonia to decide. Every nation has the right to peaceful expression and the right to self-determination.
Yes!
Spain should have agreed to hold an independence referendum on the 1st of October, enabling all citizens to vote yes or no. The result may very well have been no to independence. However, Spain has gone too far to turn back now. It shot itself in the foot, not only in the way that it handled the events on the 1st of October, but events since. And Spain finds itself in a political crisis. Even now, if Spain was to pull back from these undemocratic actions, President Puigdemont would be ready to talk, resolving this madness in a reasonable, peaceful manner. But sadly, I don't hold out much hope for that happening. Spain has breached the fundamental principles of the EU, and Europe has remained silent. Shame on them. The President of the European Commission, Juncker, went to Salamanca in Spain to receive an award. And at that event he said, and I quote, "Nationalisms are a poison that prevent Europe from working together. I say no to any form of separatism that weakens Europe." And Rajoy stated that Juncker, and I quote, has supported the Spanish government's actions, has expressed his respect for our constitution, our laws and our legal system. I'm sorry to have to say this, but the people of Catalonia have been very badly let down by Europe since the 1st of October. Friends, we must continue to speak out against the actions of Prime Minister Rajoy and the Spanish government. We must continue to speak out against the inaction of the European Union. We must continue to lobby all parliamentarians to raise the plight of Catalonia and its people in their respective parliaments. And we must continue to support the people of Catalonia, wherever they may be around the world, via social media, press releases or demonstrations like today. You will all have seen the pictures and the videos, hundreds of thousands taken to the streets on a regular basis. The length and breadth of Catalonia, defiant in the face of tyranny. Night after night at 10 o'clock, and I must admit I do miss this now, at 10 o'clock in Catalonia there is an effective protest, a cacophony of sound, the banging of pots and pans from balconies. I believe it's called Cacerolada, a show of solidarity for their Catalan government, their elected ministers and their beloved president, who is in exile now in Brussels. Their right to a political voice. We are here today. We are here today. Fantastic. We are here today, friends, to demand freedom for all the Catalan political prisoners. Jordi Sanchez, Jordi Cuixart, Oriol Junqueras, Raúl Romeva, Dolors Bassa, Joaquim Forn, Carles Bundo, Meritxell Borràs, Josep Rull and Jordi Turull. Imprisoned Catalan civil leaders and government ministers, democratically elected representatives sent to prison, bail set at an unaffordable level, some of them handcuffed behind the back and others ordered to strip naked. Humiliated and treated like criminals, common criminals, facing up to 30 years in jail. Now just to put that in context, the jail sentence for murder in Spain is normally between 15 and 20 years. We say That's a disgrace. Libertat presos politics. As a former active member of Amnesty International, in my 20s I used to write letters after letters to governments and rulers asking them to release prisoners of conscience. It could be Africa, Asia, Russia, the Middle East, whatever. Never once did I think that we would have political prisoners in Spain in the year 2017. I have to add that I'm disappointed in the response by Amnesty Spain. They are calling for the release of the two Jordis. However, they do not consider the Catalan government ministers prisoners of conscience, because in their words, they are accused of acts that may constitute a criminal offence. We all know that to be untrue, and in my opinion, they are disregarding the human rights abuses carried out against these government ministers, which need investigating and investigating now. Many of you will have heard of Liz Castro, and on Twitter the other day she put out a tweet asking everybody to write to the Catalan political prisoners. She said that until they are released we can play their part in keeping their spirits up. But apart from that, the more letters they receive, the greater the pressure is on the Spanish government. So I urge all of you to do that. And if you look at our Twitter feed, the addresses are there. On finishing, friends, when Scotland has another independence referendum, all of us, whether part of a political party or none, must find ourselves the raw passion and the determination that the Catalan people exhibit in spades, or we will find ourselves crushed by all of those that would wish to deny us a vote on the future of Scotland. We cannot and must not allow that to happen. We must learn how to organise and mobilise ourselves effectively as a movement. We have a lot to learn from Catalonia. The people of Scotland and the people of Catalonia must have the opportunity to express their views and determine their own destiny. We must be ready. I, for one, will play my part. My question to all of you today is, will you play yours? Visca Catalunya, Sor Alba!